As we go through life, we all find out some things that just don't make sense. The kind of things that seem clear as day when we're younger, but as we age and gain a little more wisdom, we start to see them in a new light. After 60, you see things for what they really are. You understand what's worth your energy and what's not, what builds you up and what only drags you down. So let me share a few things that, quite honestly, stop making any sense after a certain age. Think of this as a little guide on clearing the clutter and living with purpose and truth. At some point, you realize life's too short to dance around everyone else's expectations. Pleasing people is an endless race. Run it long enough, and you'll only wear yourself out. Success doesn't look the same for everyone. By 60, you realize it's about peace, fulfillment, and joy, whatever that looks like for you. Forget what they told you success is. Write your own definition. Grudges are heavy weights, and by 60, you know the only person they hurt is you. Letting go isn't about them, it's about setting yourself free. The small stuff will eat away at you if you let it. After a while, you learn to focus on the things that matter and let the little things fall where they may. Health isn't guaranteed, it's something you've got to work for. At a certain point, the choice to ignore it just doesn't make sense anymore. Invest in your body, and it'll pay dividends. Life's not a contest. You don't have to be anyone but the best version of yourself. Comparing yourself is a trap. After 60, you see that there's no reward for staying stuck in it. Money without purpose is hollow. If you're not using it to make life better for yourself and others, it's just numbers. After a while, you understand that wealth is about impact, not accumulation. By now, you've seen enough of life to know that change is inevitable. The more you resist, the harder it is. Embrace it, that's where growth lives. Careers come and go, but you're the one who has to live with yourself. Make sure you're choosing things that fill you up, not drain you dry. Life will test you, and without faith or a core belief to keep you anchored, it's easy to get lost. There's wisdom in staying connected to something higher, something that grounds you. When you're young, you might think that pleasing everyone is just part of the journey. You stretch yourself thin, trying to be what they want you to be, trying to fit into the roles they've set for you. You change your words, your actions, even your dreams sometimes just to make sure you're accepted. But let me tell you, that's a trap. And the older you get, the more you see it clearly. Because here's the truth, no matter how much you bend, no matter how many times you say yes, when you mean no, some people will still find fault. They'll take what you give, and it will never be enough. Living this way drains you. It's like watering a garden where the soil doesn't even hold moisture. You keep giving, keep pouring, but it doesn't grow anything real. And over time, you see how exhausting it is to keep up with everybody's version of who you're supposed to be. Their opinions come and go, but your peace, that's yours to guard. Eventually, you learn to choose. You choose to listen to that inner voice that knows your worth, that knows who you truly are and what you stand for. You stop sacrificing your happiness, your dignity, just for a fleeting moment of approval. Because the people who truly care about you don't need you to twist and turn to make them happy. They see you for who you are, and they love you just the same. That's the beauty of living with authenticity. It may not win you the popularity contest, but it wins you the kind of life you can be proud of. So let go of the need to please everyone. The only approval you need is your own. The rest will fall into place, or it'll fall away, and either way, you'll be better for it. When we're young, the world hands us this picture of success, a big house, fancy cars, titles, and accolades. We're told that's the dream, that's the life we should all be chasing. So we buy into it, not even realizing that we're running towards someone else's finish line. We chase things that look good on paper, things that make others nod with approval, but deep down there's this feeling that something's missing. Because the truth is, none of that will fill you up if it doesn't match your own vision of what matters. See, real success is something only you can define for yourself. It's not something you can wear or hang on a wall. It's something you feel in your heart. And that feeling doesn't come from collecting things. It comes from building a life that feels meaningful to you. It's about knowing you're living in line with your own values, that you're making an impact in a way that resonates with your soul. After a certain point, you realize that chasing other people's dreams is like climbing a ladder leaning against the wrong wall. You might reach the top, but if it's not the life that speaks to you, it won't mean a thing. Real success, true success, isn't about comparing yourself to others or meeting society's checklist. It's about looking in the mirror and knowing you're living a life that's authentic, a life that brings you peace and purpose. So don't waste time living by anyone else's standards. Find your own version of success, something that makes sense for you and you alone. And when you do, don't let anyone shake you from it. Because when it's your path, your purpose, there's nothing more fulfilling than that. Holding on to grudges might feel like power, like a way to get even, to hold people accountable for the pain they caused. But over time, that grudge becomes a prison you've built for yourself. You think it's hurting them, but it's really holding you back. It's like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to suffer. It just doesn't work that way. Life is too short, too precious to carry around the weight of bitterness. When you're holding a grudge, it takes energy, mental space, even joy from your life. It's a constant reminder of a hurt that you end up reliving over and over again. And every time you bring it back up, it holds you hostage in the past. Meanwhile, the other person, they've likely moved on, not giving it a second thought. So now who's the one suffering? Forgiveness doesn't mean you're saying what they did was right. It doesn't mean you have to welcome them back into your life. Forgiveness is about setting yourself free, letting go of the burden so you can move forward. It's about reclaiming your peace and focusing on the things that bring you joy and fulfillment. Letting go isn't easy. It's a process and it takes strength. But once you do, you'll see the difference. You'll feel lighter, more focused, ready to embrace the good things waiting ahead. Life isn't about carrying every scar with you. It's about learning from the pain and then letting it go. So release that grudge. Not for them, but for you, because you deserve to live free, to walk unburdened, to enjoy the beauty of the present without being weighed down by the past. There comes a point in life when you realize that most of what we stress over just doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. It's all small stuff, those petty arguments, the need to be right, that extra ounce of pride, the little frustrations that pop up day to day. When we're younger, we spend so much time getting worked up over it all, as if every inconvenience or slight is a mountain that needs to be moved. But the truth is, a lot of what we worry about is just noise, distractions that keep us from focusing on what's real, what's lasting, what truly brings meaning to our lives. See, when you're sweating the small stuff, you're missing the big picture. You're letting yourself get dragged down into battles that don't need fighting, pouring your energy into things that don't give you anything back. You end up exhausted, anxious, constantly on edge because you've trained yourself to see every little setback as a crisis. But as time goes on, you begin to realize that life is bigger than these minor details. You understand that most things aren't worth the energy, the anger, or the anxiety they bring. Think about the moments you'll remember in the end, the laughter with friends, the quiet victories, the times when you felt truly alive. None of those moments had anything to do with stressing over what someone said, worrying about a minor mistake, or losing sleep over things beyond your control. Those small things might seem significant in the moment, but they fade. And when you look back, you don't remember them as much as you remember the way you loved, the way you grew, the way you impacted others. So instead of sweating the small stuff, learn to focus on what lasts. Focus on the relationships that matter, the dreams that push you forward, the goals that bring out the best in you. Learn to let go of the little things that bring you down, those quick moments of irritation, the petty grievances, the desire to always be right. There's freedom in learning to rise above, in seeing the broader picture and realizing that peace is worth more than being right, that joy is worth more than pride, and that letting go of the small stuff is a gift you give yourself. And remember, life is fragile. We don't get to control how much time we have. So why waste it stressing over things that don't define you? Why spend it carrying burdens that aren't worth holding on to? Let them go. Focus on what you can control, your attitude, your effort, the way you treat others. Find your peace, find your joy, and let everything else fall away. Because in the end, it's not the little things that make a life, it's the love, the purpose, and the legacy you leave behind. You can spend a lifetime chasing success, pouring all your energy into building a career, a family, a name for yourself, but none of it means a thing if you're not taking care of the one body you've been given. You can't put health on the back burner forever and expect it not to catch up to you. Because sooner or later it does. The truth is, health isn't a luxury, it's a foundation, it's the ground everything else rests on. Now, we've all been there thinking we're invincible, convincing ourselves we can skip meals, miss sleep, push through pain, and sacrifice our well-being in the name of hard work. But as time goes on, the body keeps a record of all those sacrifices. Every unhealthy meal, every sleepless night, every excuse to skip exercise, it all adds up. And eventually the cost shows up in ways we can't ignore, ways we can't wish away. Ignoring your health is like taking out a loan against your own future. You keep borrowing energy you don't have, strength you haven't built, resilience you haven't nurtured. But you can't cheat biology. Sooner or later, the debt comes due. And let me tell you, it's far harder to pay back than it would have been to invest in yourself along the way. Health is not something you can buy back or hustle your way around. It's something you have to earn day by day, choice by choice. Taking care of yourself doesn't have to be complicated. It's not about running marathons or lifting hundreds of pounds. It's about the simple things. Drinking enough water, moving your body, taking time to rest, feeding yourself well, both physically and mentally. And it's these small, consistent actions that build a solid foundation that allow you to keep showing up, to keep giving your best, and to keep going when others have to stop. There's power in taking responsibility for your health. You gain control over your energy, your resilience, and your focus. When you're healthy, you're not just surviving, you're living fully. You're able to show up for the people you love, pursue your dreams, and live with purpose. And let's be real, none of us want to spend our later years bound by the limitations of choices we made today. We don't want to look back with regret, wishing we'd given our health the attention it deserved. So respect your body, take care of it, not just for today, but for tomorrow. Because it's a gift, and like any gift, it can be taken away. Don't wait until it's too late to realize that health is the most valuable asset you'll ever have. Take time for it now, invest in it now, so you can enjoy the fruits of your labor without being held back by what you didn't do. One of the hardest things to break free from is the habit of comparing yourself to others. It's easy to look around and think someone else has it all figured out, that they're further along, better off, or that somehow they got the life you wanted. But let me tell you, that path, the one where you're constantly measuring yourself against others, it's a dead end. When you're always comparing, you're never content, never satisfied, because no matter what you achieve, there will always be someone who seems to have more. Comparing yourself to others is like staring at someone else's highlight reel and forgetting that they have struggles, setbacks, and doubts of their own. People are quick to show you the best parts of their lives, but no one sees the work, the sacrifices, or the battles behind closed doors. You're out there looking at their peaks, forgetting that you're on your own journey, with your own timeline and your own purpose. Every time you focus on what they have, you're taking your eyes off your own potential, off the progress you could be making in your own life. There's no satisfaction in chasing someone else's success. Even if you reach it, it won't feel like yours. Real peace, real fulfillment comes from knowing you're on the path meant for you, that you're growing at your pace, and that what's yours will come in its own time. You don't have to compete with anyone else because your journey isn't a race. Life's not about crossing the finish line first. It's about crossing it whole, fulfilled, with no regrets about the time you spent trying to be somebody else. When you stop comparing, you free yourself to fully embrace who you are and what you have to offer. You get to work on becoming the best version of you. Not a version that looks good on paper, not one that someone else will applaud, but a version that feels right in your own heart. Focus on your strengths. Invest in what makes you unique, because that's where your true value lies. No one else can do what you do in the way you do it. When you're busy comparing, you're missing out on the beauty of your own journey. You're letting someone else's life steal joy from yours. But the moment you let go of the need to measure up to anyone else, you open yourself up to the freedom of living authentically. You learn to appreciate where you are and how far you've come. And you start to see that life isn't about being better than anyone else, it's about being better than you were yesterday. So next time you catch yourself comparing, remember that you're already enough. Remember that you're on your own path, a path that no one else can walk but you. Celebrate your own victories, learn from your own failures, and keep moving forward. Because the only person you should ever compare yourself to is the person you were yesterday. That's where the real growth is. That's where the real success lies, and that's where you'll find the peace you've been looking for. There's nothing wrong with wanting nice things or working hard to provide for yourself and those you care about. But when you make wealth your whole mission, when you start believing that success is only measured by the size of your bank account, that's when you've lost sight of something bigger. Chasing material wealth for the sake of having it, for the flash, for the approval of others, none of that will fill the emptiness that creeps in when you're alone at night. Because deep down, you know that money on its own has no real purpose. It's a tool, nothing more, nothing less. You see, when you pursue wealth without purpose, it becomes a trap. You can chase it endlessly, thinking just a little more, just one more goal, just one more level, and each time you hit that next milestone, there's a brief moment of satisfaction, but it fades quickly. Then you're left feeling the same emptiness, the same restlessness, and suddenly you need to set another goal just to keep that fleeting feeling alive. It's an endless cycle, a treadmill that never stops, and it only picks up speed as you go. And all the while, the things that truly matter, family, friendships, fulfillment, get left in the dust. Purpose is what makes wealth meaningful. Purpose is the reason why you're building, why you're growing. If your wealth isn't creating something larger than yourself, if it's not elevating the lives of others, if it's not a tool for positive change, then it's hollow. Real wealth, the kind that leaves a legacy, is rooted in intention. It's wealth that isn't about what you have, but about what you give, how you serve, how you uplift others along the way. Because in the end, you can't take any of it with you. All that remains is the impact you made, the lives you touched, the memories you leave behind. When you're driven by purpose, wealth becomes something entirely different. It's no longer just about what you can buy or what doors it opens for you. It's about the freedom it gives you to make a difference. It's about creating opportunities for others, sharing your success, and building something that lasts. Wealth without purpose is like water in a sieve. No matter how much you pour in, it slips right through. But when it has purpose, it fills you up in ways money alone never could. So ask yourself, why am I chasing this? What am I really after? Let that guide you, because purpose is what transforms wealth from a number into a legacy. Focus on building something meaningful, something that serves a cause greater than your own comfort or ego. Use your resources to create a life that feels deeply fulfilling, one where success isn't measured by what you keep, but by what you give away. When you look back, it won't be the cars, the houses, or the zeros in your bank account that bring you peace. It will be the lives you impacted, the hearts you reached, and the way you left the world just a little bit better than you found it. So don't just chase wealth, chase a purpose so powerful that it drives you to be more, to give more, to live for something beyond yourself. That's where real fulfillment lies, and that's where true success begins. Change is one of the scariest things in life, isn't it? We're wired to seek comfort, to cling to what's familiar, even when it's no longer serving us. There's something reassuring about knowing what to expect, about staying within the boundaries of what's safe. But here's the thing, if you spend your life avoiding change, you're choosing comfort over growth, security over possibility. You're letting fear dictate your future, and fear never leads anywhere you want to go. See, change is inevitable. Life doesn't stay still for anyone. Seasons shift, people move on, opportunities come and go. The question isn't if things will change, the question is how you'll respond when they do. Will you cling to the past, holding on to what's safe but stagnant, or will you have the courage to step forward, even if you don't know what lies ahead? Because believe me, some of the best things in life come from taking that leap, from embracing the unknown with open arms. When you fear change, you end up building walls around yourself. You start saying no to things that could transform your life for the better, simply because they look different, because they don't fit into the comfortable picture you've painted. But what you don't realize is that every time you say no to change, you're saying no to growth. You're missing out on the chance to discover new strengths, to gain new perspectives, to evolve into a fuller version of yourself. Think about it, every meaningful experience, every big accomplishment, every lesson you've learned has come from a moment when you faced something unfamiliar, something challenging. Change stretches you, pushes you, and ultimately it shapes you. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it's intimidating. But that discomfort, that's where growth happens. That's where resilience is built. You're stronger than you know, but you'll never see it if you don't push yourself beyond what's easy, what's familiar. And understand this, when you resist change, you're fighting against life itself. Life is movement, it's evolution. Trying to keep things the same is like trying to hold water in your hands. It's not meant to stay still. Embracing change doesn't mean throwing caution to the wind. It means having faith in yourself, believing that no matter what happens, you'll adapt, you'll learn, you'll grow. It's about trusting that each new chapter has something valuable to teach you, something that will prepare you for what's next. So don't let fear hold you back. Fear will keep you in a box, keep you dreaming small, keep you living in yesterday. But courage will take you places you never imagined. It will open doors you didn't even know existed. Embrace change, welcome it even when it scares you, because every great story begins with a moment of uncertainty, with a step into the unknown. Life is short, and time is precious. Don't spend it hiding from what's new, from what could be. Move forward with courage, let go of the need to control every outcome, and trust that each change, each twist and turn, is bringing you closer to the person you're meant to become. Because the truth is, real life happens beyond your comfort zone. And when you stop fearing change, that's when you truly start to live. There's a mindset that tells us if we just grind hard enough, if we pour every ounce of ourselves into our careers, then success will come and happiness will follow. So we throw ourselves into our work, putting in the hours, making the sacrifices, thinking it's all part of the journey. But somewhere along the way, that balance slips. The career starts taking everything, while happiness, health, relationships, and peace of mind are left behind. And before you know it, you've built a life that looks successful on the outside but feels empty on the inside. There's no shame and ambition in wanting to achieve and aiming high. But when your career starts consuming all of you, when it leaves you with nothing but burnout and missed moments, you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? What's the point of reaching the top if you're too exhausted to enjoy it? When you sacrifice your happiness for your career, you're essentially trading the richness of your life for a title, for a paycheck, for recognition that may never bring you the fulfillment you thought it would. The reality is, happiness and success aren't mutually exclusive, but one without the other is incomplete. True success isn't about just what you do. It's about the person you become in the process. It's about having a life that feels as good on the inside as it looks on the outside. Because at the end of the day, achievements fade. Trophies gather dust, money comes and goes, and careers, no matter how impressive, eventually slow down. But the people you love, the memories you create, the joy you find in the simple things, those are the things that last, the things that keep you going when the career highs have quieted down. The truth is, a career is just one part of your life. It doesn't define you. It's what you do, not who you are. But when we start sacrificing everything else for work, we lose sight of ourselves. We forget about our passions, our health, our friendships. We lose the spark, the laughter, the spontaneity, the very things that make life worth living. And if you're not careful, you'll look up one day and realize you've been climbing a ladder that's been leaning against the wrong wall. So find balance. Learn to set boundaries. Take the time to enjoy the little things, to spend time with the people who lift you up. Don't let your career be your only source of worth. Let your happiness be a priority, not a reward you keep putting off for someday. Because here's the secret: happiness isn't something you find at the end of the road. It's something you create along the way. It's in the time you take for yourself, the moments you share with others, and the way you choose to live every single day. Remember, life is short. You don't get these moments back. The career milestones will come and go, but don't sacrifice the things that matter most in the pursuit of a title or a position. Success means nothing if you're too drained to enjoy it. So build a life that's rich in meaning and connection and joy. Make space for laughter, for love, for rest, because that's where true fulfillment lies. Your career can be a beautiful part of your life, but it should never be all of it. Find the courage to live fully, to pursue success without losing sight of your happiness. Because in the end, it's not about how high you climbed, it's about how well you lived. So many people chase their careers like it's the only thing that matters in life. We get caught up in the grind, thinking that if we just work hard enough, we'll reach that finish line and then we can be happy. But let me tell you, sacrificing your happiness for your career is a dangerous game. It's a gamble that rarely pays off. You may think you're doing the right thing by pouring every ounce of your energy into your job, but what happens when you look up and realize that life has passed you by? You've got to understand something: a career is just one part of who you are. It's what you do, not who you are. And while ambition is admirable, it's not worth trading your joy for. When you chase after promotions, titles, and the next big paycheck without considering the impact on your happiness, you're missing the bigger picture. You might reach those goals, but at what cost? Often, it's at the expense of your health, your relationships, and your peace of mind. You might get that corner office, but if you're miserable while you're sitting in it, what's the point? Imagine waking up every day feeling burned out, stressed out, and unfulfilled. All those late nights at the office, all those missed family gatherings, all those sacrifices you made, they don't mean a thing if you're not happy in the process. When you tie your self-worth to your career, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Because when the work slows down or when you face a setback, who are you then? Your happiness can't be conditional on how well you perform at work. It has to come from within, from recognizing that you're worth so much more than your job title or your bank account. You have to make a choice. Do you want to live a life that feels fulfilling, or do you want to chase after someone else's version of success? Because society loves to tell us what success looks like: big houses, fancy cars, high-paying jobs. But let me tell you, those things are hollow if they come at the expense of your joy. You could have all the money in the world, but if you're unhappy, what do you really have? Happiness is found in the moments that matter. It's in the laughter with friends, the quiet time spent with loved ones, the little victories that fill your heart. It's about having the time to enjoy the fruits of your labor, not just working tirelessly to accumulate them. So take a step back and evaluate what's truly important to you. Make space for the things that feed your soul. Prioritize your well-being. Because when you're happy, you're more productive, more creative, and more resilient. You have to learn to say no to the things that drain you and yes to the things that lift you up. Set boundaries, take that vacation, spend time with your family, follow your passions outside of work, because life is too short to spend it all chasing after something that doesn't fulfill you. When you find that balance, you'll see how much richer your life becomes. You can build a successful career while still enjoying the journey. The key is to remember that you're not just a cog in the machine, you're a whole person with dreams, desires, and a life outside of work. So don't sacrifice your happiness for a career. Build a life that you love, where your work is just one piece of a much larger puzzle. In the end, the legacy you leave behind isn't measured by your career accomplishments, but by the love you shared, the joy you created, and the memories you made. So pursue your goals, but never at the expense of your happiness. Because true success is a life well lived, filled with purpose, passion, and joy.